That guy challenges me. That guy's my brother, and he's my friend, and his name is Bobby Davidowitz. We're going to stage.
Yes, 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 yes. My God. Well, you know, when Gil started talking about Big D, I thought he was talking about me. I was like, oh, he's talking about Big Davidowitz. That's what he's talking about. I appreciate it, Gil. I don't know if you want to flash up the next slide, but, oh, there it is. So look, it's an honor to be here, and I just want to tell you a little bit about my story. And you know, I wrote this down. Have you ever felt like everything you've done and been through in the past all made sense when you find the right opportunity, right? Like Steve Jobs says, you have to connect the dots looking backwards, and I want to connect those dots with you real quick. So, my journey started in a place called Puerto Rico. Boricua's in the house. Now, I have this very Jewish last name because I'm a Jew-Rican, but that's neither here nor there, okay? It's obviously where I got my fashion sense. No shirt, overalls, that's how we do it, okay? But I didn't realize that at the time I was being taught things just by the way we were living because of my people, the way they are. And I can tell you that growing up in Puerto Rico, what they were teaching me was the power of connections. If you know Latino people, if you know Puerto Ricans, right, it's like just the way we celebrate, the way we connect with our family and our friends, the way we talk about things, how you ever heard of like Puerto Rican tell like a normal story but doesn't sound normal, right? It's like listening to salsa music. You know, salsa music is just R&B music but with like a better beat and like really expressive, right? And so I was seeing this growing up and I'm like, man, I didn't know it till now. I didn't know the power they were teaching me. They were also teaching me something about the power of passion, right? Now here I was passionate about chicken, okay? But the thing is that, you know, passion is the cure-all. Energy is the cure-all. You know, I don't know how many times Gil and I walked into a room where we didn't belong in, but because of our passion and our energy, somebody said, I want to work with that guy, right? And so they were teaching me something. So then I took my talents to a place called Altamont Springs, Florida. You can see I carried my fashion sense. I think it might have been like Paul Bunyan Day at school or something. We were about to chop down some trees. But my sister's gonna kill me, by the way, that I put this up there. It's terrible. But, you know, I moved to this place that was so different from Puerto Rico. I felt actually that like fun had died. I was like, oh, fun died. And now we're here, right? And so I'm sitting there and I had this desire to belong. I wanted to make friends when I was there, but I had this little challenge called English, and I didn't know it. So wasn't it great that one thing I didn't know how to do is have energy and passion and be accessible and be friendly, and that's how I made friends. And I also realized that humor was a big deal too, right? Making people laugh, you can make some friends, right? At that point in time, it was just saying cuss words to make the kids laugh, but I was trying, right? So then I took my talents to Lake Mary, Florida. And by the way, Vero, this is the first time I ever did a poem on stage. They got the picture of it. You know, and the cool thing is I had mastered the language at that point in time. So I had learned the language and I really was wanting to express myself and just really communicate in a higher level way. Then I was introduced to football, still not the fashion thing. I don't know what I was doing that hat, okay? But here's the deal, I saw the power of teams. Right? And I realized that playing a sport is playing life. And I was learning things. I was learning things like discipline, hard work. And if you did these things, you would succeed no matter in what you did. And I was also learning how to play a role, which, you know, I don't know if you've seen the people on stage, but I'm on a team with some championship players. And, you know what I mean? So you got to know how to play a role on a team like that, right? And that's what sports taught me. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. So then I graduate college, right? Fast forward, right? And what you don't know is in this picture, I was scared. And I was about to go into what I call the postgraduate depression because I was doing everything that I thought I was supposed to do. I was going to school, I went to college, making my parents proud, but I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. No idea. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be successful. I got straight A's and all that good stuff, but like I literally am lost. And so luckily, I had a friend that said, hey man, you gotta start reading some books. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because like school had kind of killed my love for reading. You know, they're like, read this textbook. I'm like, I hate reading. But he said, you need to start reading these things called personal development books. And I'm still grateful to my friend Ronell for telling me that. And this was one of the first books that I ever read. It was called Who Moved My Cheese? Who read this? It's literally a story about 4 mice. But that's funny, the power of stories, right? And that started me on a 20-plus year journey of personal development, working on me, working on my mindset, you know, working on the things that had the BS stories that had been programmed in my life for 21 years. I had to start scooping them out and reprogramming the mind, or I wasn't going to hit my goal, right? And through all this personal development, it became crystal clear what my goal was. And I think it's your goal too. Is it your goal? Right? I believe everybody in this room has the same goal. You're going to write it down as I want to travel. You're going to write it down as I want to buy my mom a house. But really what your goal is, you want to live life on your own terms. You want to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, with the people you want to do it with, for the people you want to do it for. And guess what? There's only one way I know how to do that, and that's financial freedom. If there's another way, tell me. Right? This is what I believe. You're either going to master money or you will become its slave. You're either going to master money or you're going to become its slave. See, we all grew up hearing things like money is the root of all evil, right? Money doesn't buy happiness. And they put these BS stories in our head and didn't realize that the whole system runs on money. Raise your hand if you know somebody that works 40, 50, 60 hours a week and hates their job. Almost everybody in the room. That's your life you're trading away. Money will buy your life back. That's what we're doing here. That's what the mission is here, but we're going to do it with heart. We're going to change agents' lives while doing it. Okay, the second thing I realized was I wanted to have impact. Okay? I didn't want to live a life where I left the world the same way I came into it. I wanted to leave it better, right? I had a story to share. I had things to do, and I always had a heart for helping and coaching. That was something that was always in my heart. But I thought to myself, even through my real estate journey, from being a mortgage brokerage owner, from being a top producer, from being an agent, all this stuff, I really didn't have clarity on how exactly I was going to do this and the way that I wanted to do it. I was helping people individually, but I didn't know how to help more people, right? So without a plan, I could tell you this, and write this down. Without a plan, without the how, this is all you have to do, is show up. There's your how right there. Is show up. And we talked about it earlier today. I'm so glad people said this before, because it is truly have been my magic over the past 20 plus years, is I show up. I know that opportunity is not at my house. I have to go see somebody. I have to go talk to somebody. I have to go to a networking event. I got to be at EXP shareholders. I'm going to be at Build, right? I'm gonna show up, even if I don't want to show up. And let me tell you that story, right? So Gil calls me up. So me and Gil had been talking for years, right? We had kind of decided at this point we're going to be business partners, right? He's like, we're going to do something. And, you know, typical Gil, he doesn't need details. You know, he's just like, we're going to be business partners. I'm like, at what? He's like, don't know yet. I'm like, well, what's the plan? He's like, I don't know. I might sell the brokerage, quit real estate. I don't know. I'm like, okay, this is not a plan. We don't got a plan, Gil, right? And then luckily, this very, very persistent guy named Carlos German kept talking to Gil, right? They had this kind of like, they were cross-recruiting each other. Gil was trying to get him into Exit. He was trying to get him into EXP. Like, and it was a funny, very, very funny story. But Carlos German is persistent, okay? And he finally got Gil to an event, and he actually it was Eugene that kind of like convinced him that this was the play, right? And so Gil calls me up one day. He says, hey, Bobby, I want you to go meet this guy named Carlos German. He's like, I think I might have found it. I'm like, found what? He's like, the plan. And I'm like, oh. He's like, cool. He's like, you're going to meet him at my kid's like 3rd birthday party. Is that cool? And I'm like, wait a minute. You know, I don't have kids specifically so I don't have to go to kids' parties. Like that's why I don't have kids. But you know what? I showed up. And this was the mastermind. You know what I'm saying? This was it. This was the beginning. I showed up. This was, to this day, the best mastermind we've ever had. And I got to give props to my partner, Gil, because he always takes these candid pictures. Like it's amazing. So this is when Carlos started talking to me about a vision. He actually, what happened? He started talking to me about a vision with my little sunglasses on. And he started telling me that, you know, this company was different. They hadn't taken an old model and just improved on it and add some, new little lead systems or whatever. They were literally changing the way real estate was being done. And you want to be on that kind of wave. But not only that, he says, you want to know how you create financial freedom? He goes, you make an impact on more people. And I was, wait a minute. Tell me more about that. And that was the beginning. And then it all made sense. It all made sense. Everything I had gone through up until this point, every skill set I had built, I realized I can put all my passion and my talents into one thing and build it the way I want to, and you could build it by helping more people. So, I gotta tell you that the vehicle matters. You know what I mean? So, I was in real estate. I had made a commitment to real estate, but, they don't make all models the same. And when you realize that, just from a business perspective, I know some of you guys might be brand new agents in here, you gotta start thinking like an owner, because you are, okay? You gotta start learning some of these terminologies, and the model and the vehicle and why it matters, okay? Because here's my belief. I believe you cannot escape hard work, but if you work hard at the right things, you can escape, okay? And you can work hard at the wrong things. There's many people who work 40, 50, 20, 10 years on the wrong thing. They're not farther than they were when they started. With this company, if you put the hard work in, you're going to break through. But hey, this is the long game, and you got to be willing to put the hard work. If you're not willing to do this for a 10-year run, you're not trying to build anything great. Like, commit in your mind right now, this is a 10-year journey, and you're going to build it brick by brick. But I guarantee you, and you don't have to have that much faith. I just look at Gene's rev share. Like, that's literally what I thought initially, is like, show me the proof. Like, we were lucky even at 15,000 agents that we had the Jay Kinder, Mike Reese, Gene. I didn't have to believe in a story. There it was. There's people building massive wealth and impacting people doing this. So let me tell you the 4 secrets to wealth. And I heard this on stage in Cabo, and that's why events are so big, right? Mark Sherrard came up in here and he said, look, there's really 4 secrets to wealth, right? 1, duplication. And I used to be, and by the way, I knew multi-level marketing. I knew this because I tried it before. And I knew the power of this model, but we just weren't in the right vehicle. And the power partly is duplication, right? You cannot trade hours for dollars and expect to get wealthy. You have to duplicate yourself, and you have to duplicate processes. If it doesn't duplicate, it doesn't matter. That's what Jay Kinder says. If it doesn't duplicate, it doesn't matter. Number 2, you need equity. You need to be an owner. You want to build wealth? You got to own something. You're not going to earn your way there. You're not going to build somebody else's brand. When I bring somebody on to the Alliance family, I say, I want to build your brand. You're just going to build it on this platform. Now it's going to build wealth for you. Keep your brand. Build your brand on this platform. The next thing is multiple income streams. Most wealthy people have what? 7 income streams? Why is that? Because you don't just diversify your portfolio, you diversify your income. Because if something happens to one pillar, you still got the other ones. And it's built into this system. And then finally, it's passive income. If you're not making money while you sleep, you're not wealthy. Just that. If you ever want to know, am I wealthy? Are you still working for money instead of money working for you? You're not wealthy yet. Okay? And why would you want to be at a brokerage that doesn't do this? That's what you got to say to folks. And that's what Mike Sherrard said on stage. And I was like, oh my gosh, brilliant. So here's the deal. I don't just call it passive income. I call it compounding passive income. Why? Because it actually builds on itself. If you guys know how compounding interest works, it's not just like a linear type of growth. It's an exponential growth, right? Because as you keep bringing more and more amazing people into this family, they know more and more amazing people who also produce, who also know more and more amazing people. And you're going to wake up one day and be like, how do I have 5,000 people in my organization? Because it compounds. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm gonna tell you what I've learned on my journey for building a real estate family. Number 1, the power of the story. I mentioned it 3 or 4 times. Guys, this is not a one-size-fits-all thing for people. If you don't care enough to learn somebody's story, you don't care enough to build this. If you don't care enough to ask somebody what their pains are, what they're passionate about, and learn that, because it's not one-size-fits-all. When I get somebody's story, I'm able to craft the message for them because it doesn't speak the same way to everybody. Ozzy made a great example of that, dude. It's like people EXP'd on him for years, and finally somebody hit his heart, and guess what? Now he's with us, right? So make sure that you get the power of the story. Leverage. Guys, you have so many amazing, not only resources, but people in this company that are wanting to help you, right? What leverage is you can lift something way heavier with some leverage. Leverage in real estate when it comes to financing is if you have 100 grand, you could buy one $100,000 property, or you could put $10,000 down on 10 properties and use your lender to leverage and buy more. It's the same thing here. You've got access to Gil, Veronica, myself, Jay Kinder, Mike Reese, Gene Frederick, all these folks. There's people in this room. Clap in this room if you've helped open up a country. That's how big you want to be thinking. You know why? Because they can call Michael Valdez and say, hey, man, I got some people in the country. We could break this thing wide open. And he's like, let's do it. Let's do it. The next thing is be attractive. Okay? And no, I don't mean looks. Look, EXP forms something brilliant, but you have to add value on top. Okay? Because I say EXP is the commodity. They can get EXP from you, from you, from you, from you. It's what you put special on top. We've built an amazing culture that people want to be a part of, but what can you do? What can you do to be attractive? There's people in our office right now doing classes on YouTube because they're crushing it with YouTube. Some people are great at branding. Some people did so well in their first year as a new agent, they're wanting to teach other new agents how to do the same thing they did in their first year. You have to be thinking about that kind of thing over time. Yes, leverage your tools, but also be attractive. And then finally, commit. Bobby is great at commitment, said no girl I ever dated. So, but I am committed to this, okay? I am committed to this because when I have clarity, I have power. Be very clear about the opportunity you have in your hands. It's growing leaders, owners, builders, and legacy. And that's what Global is about. So when you go to sleep tonight, I want you to ask yourself this one question. Are you committed or are you interested?